بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين. وفقنا للعمل بما يرضيك عنا وإلى غيرك لا تكلنا. افتح أقفال قلوبنا بذكرك وألهمنا شكرك واجعلنا من أهل معرفتك ولا تجعلنا من الغافلين. آمين. Inshallah, today's topic is about inward and outward transformation, which is very relevant to Ramadan, and we are in the very beginning of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. May Allah Azza wa Jal make this month a month for change in ourselves, in our families, in our communities, to be better, inshallah ta'ala. Apart from the New Year's resolution, usually people do think about change. And we have a list of tasks to do and stuff to finish and what have you. But nevertheless, some of it we might do, some of it we might forget about. Again, another year comes and then we renew this list, and sometimes we will finish some of it, sometimes we'll do nothing. So it's an interesting topic to talk about change and transformation. And because it is Ramadan, may Allah make it a blessed Ramadan for all of us, inshallah. Because it's Ramadan, and Ramadan is the month of transformation, the month of change. So we are not talking about airy-fairy stuff. We are talking about reality and possibilities and things on the ground. So it's not theory, it's practice. So Allah Azza wa Jal favored this ummah by gifting them this month, Ramadan. So Ramadan is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to this ummah. So Ummah has been gifted by Ramadan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enabled the Ummah to reflect upon the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah. And we need to as well understand how can we do this practically. So without going to many details, I can easily show you how we do this ourselves on a daily basis. So for instance, lunchtime, 1 o'clock, for instance. Usually people take a break on 1 o'clock and then go to lunch and then have an hour lunch and then come back. Now, there's no lunchtime. So we changed from 11 months doing lunch on that very special time to now shifting this, changing this to the evening. Okay, so is it possible? Yes, it is possible. We see it is possible by reality, which we can face on a daily basis, that we can do this. Similarly, you have suhoor, okay, which is after midnight, before Fajr, an hour sort of. So we wake up very early, and it is impossible to think throughout the year that you will wake up in Fajr time or sort of and have a meal and then pray and go to sleep. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enabled us to do that. And there are plenty of other examples for those who are addicted to certain things in their life. during Ramadan, they leave it. For instance, like smoking, like chocolate, like what have you. So again, it helps us to see that the change is possible and we can do that change. So what I'm going to do with you, I'll share with you my thoughts on how did the Quran transformed a nation of Jahiliyyah, ignorance, controlled by tribal system and controlled by traditions and habits, as any other community actually, but they have no revelation at that time. So I went through the verses in the Quran, especially the first revelation, and I was amazed when I reflected upon the very first revelation which the Prophet ﷺ received in Mecca. So we all know that the Prophet ﷺ in Ramadan, he went before Ramadan actually, but he received the first revelation in Ramadan. So he started going to the cave of Hira, and then the revelation came in Ramadan to the Prophet ﷺ, and the very first verse was Iqra. Iqra. So it's a symbol of knowledge, key for knowledge. It's not coincidental that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted this community to change from ignorance to knowledge, from Jahiliyyah to be the community of Iqra. Jahiliyyah, a community of illiterate, they don't know how to read, how to write, to a community of knowledge. So not coincidental, it is meant to be. Allah Azza wa Jal wants the people to learn. So the key for any change, as Allah stated it clearly, as Allah put it forward, is knowledge. It's not a secret. I know you know all of this. Yes, it's not something new. It's not news to you. I know. But putting these verses together and joining the dots, this will enable us to understand how things work. So the first revelation Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent was Iqra. Great. So Iqra is the first thing. Then in order to do any change in our life, any transformation in our life, yes, we need knowledge. If we don't have knowledge, then you cannot guarantee the end results. We can't, because it might not work. You don't have the right measurements, you won't have the right color, you won't have the right pillars, you won't have, and so on. So it's not just about, yeah, I have a passion for change, let's do it, guys. It's not about this. We need passion, of course. We need this fire in the belly. Yes, definitely. But it's not only this. This is not priority number one. It is important. But priority number one, as Allah stated, knowledge. And which knowledge we need depends where we are. But if we are talking about change in our life, we need sacred knowledge, priority number one. And this is why Allah has sent prophets and messengers since Adam till Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. So the first revelation came down to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Iqra. So this is the paradigm shift from ignorance to knowledge. So Allah wants us to learn that in the pattern of the change which we are after, we need to prioritize knowledge. So we do it with knowledge. And no wonder Fuad Sezkin, rahimahullah, is the Turkish scholar who studied Orientalism, and he studied the manuscripts, and he's a very comprehensive scholar regarding the literature, the Arabic literature and the manuscripts of Islamic manuscripts. He passed away probably last year or so, rahimahullah. In his commentary, he was once addressing a congregation of many youngsters, as we say in Arabic, shabab. So he was addressing them and he was telling them, don't underestimate that a community of ignorance within less than half a century, within few decades, they led the world. And he said, because knowledge was the first thing. So they dedicated their life to knowledge. And they understood the purpose behind the knowledge and how to utilize it and how to use it and how to develop it and improve it. So this is the very first thing we need. And then I looked at the second revelation which Allah has sent down, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the second revelation was in Surah Nun. Surah Nun, which is well known as Surah Al-Qalam. It starts with Nun wal qalami wa ma yasturun. It talks about the character. So the core of it, if you want, is the character. So knowledge, number one, and then Allah Azza wa Jal talked about character, number two. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Indeed, you had the best or the highest form of character, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the transformation here from having a character which is full of mistakes and shortcomings to a perfect character, which is the prophetic character, the Quranic character. And when Aisha was asked about the Prophet's character, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, she said, "Kana khuluquhu al-Quran." His character was the Quran, alayhi salatu wasallam. So he was reflecting the Quran, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we see these are the tools for change, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed. So we are not making our own ijtihad, if you want, or our own assumptions that this is the way it should be. We are just following the sequence of the revelation. This is what I was amazed with, to be honest. When I collected this in the first place, this was a couple of years ago. It wasn't in my mind to talk about transformation or change, or it was just curiosity of knowledge. So, and then I put them together, and then I started realizing and seeing the connection and depth of the direction of these early verses and early revelation in Mecca. And then the Ummah took this and developed this and created, if you want, the pattern of transformation for the whole world, not just for the Muslims, for the whole world. They have been benefiting from this transformation, the Quranic transformation. So as well, I was thinking, for anyone to change himself or herself, it's not easy. I know that. Even for many of us, they struggle in the beginning of Ramadan because they are not familiar with Siyam all the year. They only fast in Ramadan, and this is difficult. So in order to get into the Siyam habit, or Ibadah actually, rather than a habit, in order to get into this Ibadah, you need training. Yes? So what I'm trying to say that if we have no drivers, if we have no passion, if we have no uh, reason to do something, we won't do it. We rather stay in the back seat than taking the driver's seat. This is in general. I'm not saying every single one is like this, but usually we like to have less responsibilities than more responsibilities. We like to have less work than more work. Yes. Again, in general. So sometimes we will be driven to do that change. And sometimes people will lead that change. And those are few, very few. As the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith, he mentioned in Bukhari and others. الناس كإبل مئة لا تكاد تجد فيها راحلة. People are like 100 she-camel. You barely can find one which you can travel on. Beautiful. We can probably spend the whole session on this hadith alone. That this is a key principle in management. So the Prophet ﷺ is talking about leadership. Leadership. So not everyone can be a leader. The leader has to have characteristics, special characteristics, and charisma. And the leader has to be as well motivation, led by motivation. And he is a motivator as well, and influencer, real influencer, not just the social media influencer doing this for money. It's just from the heart. He is leading by example. So unless we are in that category, and few of us will be, the majority of people won't be in that category, i.e. in the position of leadership. The majority of people will be in the driver and the passenger seats. Only one can drive. And then guess what? If two people are driving the car, then definitely you know what might happen. So we might have the passion and the knowledge to do that change, and we might not have this. So we will be driven or pushed by external issues or external things around us to do that change. I.e., if you are not in the leadership position, but you've been driven by a test, Allah put you in a test to change you. Without that test, you won't be able to change. You won't do that change. So there are external and internal elements for change. For instance, the people of in Mecca, they were driven to do that change, and they were very resilient against the change. They fought the change, actually. So the Prophet ﷺ was in the driver's seat, so he led the change, ﷺ. But many people were not interested. They were so resilient to the change, fighting the change. And those who understood it, they followed the Prophet ﷺ, and they have changed themselves, changed their communities. But to be honest with you, and I'm telling you, this is not a secret, it's not easy. It isn't easy to do that change, but the moment you do know how to do it, and you familiarize yourself with it, and you have the passion, you have the knowledge, you have the sincerity, then nothing can stop you. Nothing. So the Prophet ﷺ, the first thing he received ﷺ, the revelation which talks about knowledge, Iqra. And within that revelation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the second word. So we are commenting on the first word of the revelation, Iqra, which is recite or read. So Iqra is the first word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to us. The second word, Bismi Rabbika, by the name of your Lord. This is the beauty of it. So yes, don't be self-centered. Don't be so reliant on yourself. Don't. You have to have, of course, action from your side, but don't do that and be overwhelmed by the knowledge which you have, by the links which you have, by the connections which you have. Don't. We need all of this, yes, but nevertheless, we need as well, first and foremost, to be fully reliant on Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is how we can make the change, a special change. You can do a change and you can do a special change. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Iqra bismi rabbika. Read by the name of your Lord. Yes, by the name of your Lord. So without that, we'll have, if we can achieve it, a normal change. But with the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, we can travel miles ahead of any normal change. The Prophet ﷺ, he was illiterate, but by the name of Allah, he became the master of the literate, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you see the difference. Had he relied on himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he could have achieved nothing, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the revelation led the Prophet, and then the community were behind him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with a lot of sacrifices, and this what will come with the change. And this was as well the second point which Fuad Saskin made, rahimahullah, to the congregation of youth. He said that the community became or changed from being a community of selfishness to community of selflessness. And this is where the change. You see somebody who is very selfish, and then he changed, he became selfless. It's not easy. Yes, it isn't. But how to do this? It's external and internal. And first it has to be internal. Internal, then you can see the external. And this is what we see in the third revelation. And the third revelation which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed was sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, qumil layla illa qalila, surah number 73. Ya ayyuhal muzammil, so who is wrapped in his garment, stand up throughout the night prayer. So the change which Allah Azza wa Jal want to happen in the community in order to lead humanity, you need to be fully connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what the ayah is talking about here. Qumil layl. And I usually call this connection is vertical connection or vertical dimension. So we need the vertical dimension between us and Allah Azza wa Jal. We need to deal with the means, of course, preparation, studying, asking questions, reviewing for the test, attending the meetings for the work, and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, we need as well, first and foremost, the vertical dimension. Our relationship with Allah is so important. So this is why Allah Azza wa Jal is saying, قُمِ اللَّيْلِ. So if you want this transformation to happen, it will have plenty of sacrifices, plenty of challenges. You need to be very patient, and you have to have a lot of sabr and these kind of things. And you will be challenged, you will be persecuted, you will be tested to the extent that you feel, I cannot tolerate this anymore, I want to give up. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in different verses. So sometimes even the prophets, they will reach to a level they want to give up, because they are humans at the end of the day. Even they are prophets and supported by Allah Azza wa Jal, but they are humans. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, حتى إذا استيأس الرسل, when the prophets reach to a level where it's too much for them to take, then victory will come. It's testing the quality. So with that change, we evolve. We learn how to discover our weaknesses, because you know that the common test which usually will be done to check if this is something functioning properly or not, the pressure test. So under pressure, how do you work? Whether it's a machine or a community or a company or a bank or you name it. So this is, they test how do they work under pressure, full capacity, under pressure. What do you do? Like the fire drill. So what do you do? How many minutes it takes you? What are the hurdles which you face? Then you see, okay, this is what we are going to face. So are we ready? If we are not ready, then we repeat it. We do something else, and then we try our best to improve ourselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about internal change. And this internal change is the vertical dimension with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, the beauty of Ramadan, it brings this vertical dimension to our life, where we have more connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the night prayers, through the Taraweeh, through our Salah in general, and so on. So this is our lifeline. We connect to Allah Azza wa Jal, and then we get the power supply, if you want. We get the energy from Allah Azza wa Jal. We get the motivation, we get the light, we get the guidance, and we get the sabr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to carry on and do what is required. But without this, we are very easily broken. We can be easily giving up any task we do. Apart from some of us who are very special and resilient, and they will carry on. Not all of us like this. So Allah Azza wa Jal is teaching us how to be stronger and how to move yourself from level to level, from scenario to scenario. So if you want this, then you need to have your connection ready with Allah Azza wa Jal. Like we have the fiber optics now, and the cloud connections and what have you. Then the stronger you have connection, the more you can download, upload. And this is exactly what we need, the support. And they are discussing even further now, not 4G, the 5G and so on. And forget the conspiracy theory about the corona and the connection between 5G and coronavirus. And I don't buy into this. But anyway, so the connection with Allah is important in order to make a change and lasting change. Otherwise, the connection will drop and then the change will go flat. And this is what we do with the New Year resolution. The first couple of days, you are so into this, and then the rest of the month, January, I'm not talking about in the middle of the year, you go flat. Okay, you need the connection, you need the energy to do this. And we get this from our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah Azza wa Jal revealed the fourth revelation, which is Al-Muddathir, Surah Al-Muddathir, which is Surah number 74 in the Mus'haf. But in the revelation order and sequence, it's number 4. It's not number 74, it's number 4. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya ayyuha al-muddathir, qum fa'anzir. So here you put the theory, or you put the guidance into action. You put the guidance into action, and which is the horizontal dimension. So if you want to do a change, you can't just do the change as an individual. If you are after the community change, then you need people with you. You can't just do this by yourself without external support. Now, I know many of us are into personal development and into internal change and individual change. You can't just go to the community change until you have yourself change yourself, which is right. In order to serve others, you need to serve yourself first. So as we say in English as well, it's an Islamic concept, charity starts at home. It is true, yes. So you can't leave your household and your family hungry and go and do charity for someone else. Feed your hungry people in your house first, and then you can go and do charity. So going back to the Surah Muddathir, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded the Prophet ﷺ to spread the message, which is, in my reflection, it's about helpers and supporters in the delivery of the change. So if you are into a community change, you need supporters to carry the message with you and to do that change. But you can't do this without having the first two. You have to have the knowledge to do that change, where to take the community, what are you going to do. You have to have the good character, which is very important, because a leader has to have a good character. And we've seen how much of a good leadership we have. I've read the other day a tweet, not a tweet, text message came to me, and the son was asking his dad why we don't have circus anymore. He said, because all the clowns are presidents now and went to politics. So yes, you have many clowns leading communities, which is not a joke. It's a serious business. So we see what's happening when you have clowns in the position of leadership. So you need real leaders who are well connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with good character, with good knowledge, and then you can see the change. Otherwise, it's just business as usual. So Allah Azza wa Jal revealed Surah Al-Muddathir, which is a symbol of, in this direction of change. It's a symbol of helpers and supporters. And we've seen the Prophet ﷺ didn't get much of help in Mecca. For the very 13 years in Mecca after revelation he spent, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he barely got 110 people following his da'wah, alayhi salatu wasalam. Out of, we have different statistics, how many people were in Mecca, or the citizens of Mecca, how many were at that time. Not very accurate statistics, but just estimation. It varies between, we have around 3 estimations. It varies between 2,000 to 7,000, 8,000. So nevertheless, let's take the 5,000 as sort of in the middle. It's not much. 100 people, nothing. 13 years, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't get that much help, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he has to leave. So he went to Yathrib, which being called later as Medina, and then the change start to take place in a very special manner. We've seen the change is happening on the communal level, on the individual level, on the international level, national level. We've started seeing the change happening. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed verse number, or surah number 5. Surah number 5 in the revelation sequence was Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha, it's a symbol of, one of the names of Al-Fatiha actually, it's Surah Al-Hamd, Surah of praise. And here in this direction of change, it's a symbol of gratitude. Gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want to do real change, you have to have gratitude all the time. To be grateful for what Allah has given to you, the favors which you have received. If you don't have this internal gratitude to Allah Azza wa Jal, no matter how many things you have achieved, then it's not real. The real thing, when you have real gratitude to what you have been given, then you can feel the sweetness of what you have achieved, or what you want to achieve, inshallah ta'ala. So to summarize actually, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Meccan period, which was very challenging environment. And Allah revealed in that environment the principles of change and transformation. So to conclude, number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the principle of knowledge. The main thing in any change, we need knowledge. Knowledge, the sacred knowledge is number one, because it's divine, it's infallible knowledge from Allah Azza wa Jal, our maker, our creator. He tells us in the Quran and through his Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the Sunnah what to do, what not to do, how to do this, how to refrain from this, and so on. As we are fasting, then it's part and parcel of our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that change which Allah has sent down to the community to do better was number one, the knowledge. So we need to focus on the knowledge, and from that very point, the Ummah became the leader of humanity. And because we are not anymore there, so we are behind. We left the focus on the knowledge and developing the knowledge and improving the knowledge. We are, as you can see, we spent 1 month discussing between the scholars, shall we wash the COVID-19 deceased body or not? Believe it or not. So we are, the Ummah now needs to work more on the knowledge. And then the second thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed was the character. And each principle of these principles can take a full book actually. The character. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked to deliver this message because he has the best character. Allah selected him with the best character sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was the teacher of the best character, leading by example sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for any change to happen, we need to work on our character, and this is the time. Ramadan is the time to work on our character. We have plenty of flaws and plenty of gaps in our character. Pin down 3 and try to work on them. I won't say 10 because we definitely can't do that. 3 at least. Say I have 3 bad things I want to get rid of in this Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. So start. We are in the beginning of the month. Start inshallah now and say, okay, I'll refrain from this, I'll refrain from this, and slowly we can do the change bi'ithnillah. And the third thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here mentioning, it's about connection. Connection. How can we improve our connection, change ourselves to be more connected? We feel more into connection with Ramadan in Ramadan than outside Ramadan. Yes, we can keep this, inshallah ta'ala, but we need to keep asking Allah Azza wa Jal to connect us and try our best to remove the obstacles which prevents us from this connection and destruction of the dunya. And number 4, we need support and help. So this is where the external support comes into place. So you need the circle of support around you, good friends, loyal friends, family, and so on. So surround yourself with the right people in order to maintain and improve the change which you are after. Otherwise, you can easily drop it and go flat. Very easy. We are at that person at some time. And then number 5 is the gratitude, which I call it the psychological transformation. Psychological transformation, and stop moaning, stop complaining, and be grateful. This is the character of a person who wants to change and do something positive. So stop moaning and stop complaining and be grateful to what Allah has given to you, inshallah ta'ala.